Sunday night. Saquon Barkley added 119 yards on the ground and was at the mic post-game. Saquon.
We got to be our biggest critic, and that's what we're going to be, and we're going to see where we can improve on. But at the end of the day, you know, the opinions, that's for you guys. The only thing that really matters is how we win. Whether we throw for 400 yards, we rush for 400 yards, we win the game 3-0. I don't give a to be honest. Like, I just want to win.
Think he's happy the New York Giants got rid of him now, or what? Jeez. Shannon, how much concern?
He's been home.
Happy the week it happened. I think he was happy the week it happened. But go ahead.
Shay, how much concern do you have about Jalen Hurts after that performance yesterday?
You asking me?
Yeah, you, Shannon.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He didn't look good to me. And it might be a situation that we're being cautious because he missed the final 2 games with that concussion. He was in concussion protocol. But he didn't look good to me. He didn't look sudden. He didn't look decisive. And I understand that Green Bay is a very good defensive football team. But I was concerned, and I ended up tweeting. I was like, is there something wrong with Jalen Hurts? He seemed very indecisive, Dan, Stephen A. I didn't like the way the progression that he was going through. Only 131 yards. And with 3 turnovers, and you only get 22 points. And it took an outstanding play from Dallas Goedert where they caught him with a bomb blitz and they ran like a little bubble screen, a flat screen, and the guy got a great block and the DB made a mistake of somebody that's 6'5", 255, 260. You're trying to tackle him up high, and Goedert did a great job of stiff arming him and continue to go down the field. But he didn't look good to me. He doesn't look decisive. He doesn't look sudden. Jalen Hurts normally is very sudden. And I would have thought that with 3 turnovers, they would have played better. Saquon was Saquon. I still don't understand why Saquon slid down on that play, Dan. Maybe you can help me on that. I think he's thinking too much because he's thinking, well, if I continue to run, I might pull a hamstring. But that's not. We'll talk about that at a later date in time. But Jalen Hurts doesn't look right to me, and there might not be anything wrong with him, Dan. But he didn't look like the Jalen Hurts where they had that stretch where they won like 9 or 10 games in a row. He doesn't look like that to me.
Well, okay, so number one, I thought Jalen Hurts played as well as he possibly could and as well as what was asked of him to play yesterday. I do not think that Jalen Hurts struggled yesterday. I do not think that Jalen Hurts was rusty yesterday. I think, one, this is partly because Jordan Love wasted an unbelievable defensive performance by Green Bay. I think the second part is this. After I watched that game, Shannon, Stephen A. Molly, my takeaway is not Jalen Hurts struggled. I thought Jalen was fine. My takeaway is nobody was open. And that's where my attention goes. Why was no one open? Why did Green Bay look like they could mug you up no matter what your pass concept was? Why did Green Bay defensively look like they knew exactly where you were going with your pass concepts? And I think that's the overall, I guess, concern or question mark moving forward for the Eagles offense is Jalen wasn't rusty. Shannon, I would disagree. I don't think Jalen's a sudden player. I don't think Jalen is a timing and rhythm quarterback. That's part of the reason why their pass game is what it is. But my bigger concern is with Kellen Moore, who is a very good coach and I think is going to be a head coach one day. How come it felt like Green Bay knew exactly where you were going to be, pass game-wise? How come it looked like they knew that what the route concept was going to be? There was nowhere to go with the football more often than not for Jalen Hurts. And for everybody that's saying to me, well, you know, he doesn't play on time, he doesn't play in rhythm. Jalen's never really played on time or in rhythm in the pass game. That's never really been his thing. That's why their offense is built the way it's built. And so I don't have a concern with what I saw yesterday, but I do have a elevated concern with where the pass game is when it comes to the type of concepts they're running and what they're able to execute. Yes.
Dan Orlovsky, you're making no damn sense. You watched the playoff game yesterday. You're making no damn sense. You watched the playoff game yesterday, and you just looked us in the face on national television, and you said his receivers weren't open. But I don't have any concern about yesterday. What do you mean you don't have a concern about yesterday? If the receivers isn't open, I got a concern about that. Now, let me say this about Jalen Hurts. I get where Shannon is coming from. I understand to a point what you're saying, Dio, because Jalen Hurts did complete his first 6 passes of the game. Here's what I'm concerned. Dio, listen, you know better than me. There's very few people on the planet that break it down better than you. But I got to say this.
Thank you.
You go damn near 2 straight quarters without a completion? You trying to tell me nobody was open for 2 straight quarters? In 2 straight quarters, nobody was open. Not at all. Come on now. I find that hard to believe. I'm just saying, you would know. I'm just talking about from a spectator's perspective. I find it very, Shannon, help me out here. I find it very, very difficult to believe that a receiver, a receiving group, a receiving core goes 2 straight quarters without being open because Jalen Hurts didn't have a pass completed damn near 2 straight quarters. Now, the guy's got 17 touchdowns and 1 turnover over the last 13 games. His efficiency is not anything to sneeze at. We get it. But in the same breath, 2 straight quarters without a completion and Green Bay commit 4 turnovers and you can't capitalize on it for, 7 points? I don't know about that, D.O. I don't know about that.
Let me be clear. I think so. No one was open. Now, if you were asking me, is this a quarterback like a Lamar or a Joe Burrow that is a sudden quarterback that does play bang bang in their pass game, then maybe he could fit a 5-yard route in here or there. But that's not Jalen's game. That's never been Jalen's game. Is like this crazy on time rhythm centric quarterback with their pass game. So no one was open. I think the second thing is, and I want to be very clear, this wasn't like an AJ Brown or Devontae Smith problem where they're just getting gloved up. I truly believe that Green Bay had a great feel for what pass concepts were coming out of what formations or what situations. And Shannon, the big thing is this. There's very little in the middle of the field for Philly's pass game, pass concept wise. There's very little layered pass concepts where Shannon and Stephen A. Molly, they'll put someone at like 6 yards and then they'll put someone at like 15 yards behind it. And so it is a little bit easier for a defense to defend, in my opinion. I think that's where my concern is a little bit more than, Jalen didn't play for a long and he looked rusty. Those are 2 different things. And I think that's the focus point that we have to have the conversation around.
Even if I give you Kellen Moore's offense in the regular season looks a lot different than Kellen Moore's offense in the postseason, I would concede that. If you said that, Shannon, if you go back and look at Dallas, what they did in the regular season with Kellen Moore, and then you watch come playoff time what they does with Kellen Moore, and you see the vast difference in yards, completion, and things of that nature until they fall behind and they have to throw the catch up and then teams are just playing loose. But Jalen didn't look good, D.O. I'm not saying, no, he's not rhythmic. He's not the 1, 2, 3 balls out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 balls out. That's not what he is. But it just seemed like, look at this. He's just dancing. Go. Okay, there's nothing there. What are you waiting on? Take off and run. That's okay to run. He would do a lot of that. He had AJ overshot him here. He's like, look, they got him doubled. I'm gonna be more cautious. I'm gonna be safe. I'm gonna overthrow him if he can run up on it. That's fine. But I'm not gonna turn this ball over. He just didn't. Not like I said. Maybe it's just me, but he didn't look good to me. He looked. Maybe it is rust because you get into a rhythm of playing every week, and then all of a sudden you miss 2 weeks. It takes you a little time to get your timing back.
Shannon, I say this to you, and I'll say this to you, D.O. D.O., if I rolled up on you because you go and you call some of these games, right? And you know the wife is a Philadelphia Eagles fan and all this other stuff, right? And you rolled up in the Philadelphia Eagles locker room and you looked A.J. Brown in the face and you said to him, 3 targets, 1 catch, 10 yards.
Not good enough.
10 yards.
Because you weren't open. What would A.J. Brown say to you? Hell, what would he do to you? You know, I'm just wondering. I'm just speculating. You understand what I'm saying? Because you know that's not something you better go and say to that brother. Shannon, Mr. Hall of Famer. I'm talking to the Hall of Famer.
That's my job, Stephen A. That's my job.
Hold on. I said Shannon, Mr. Hall of Famer. I didn't say D.O. I said Shannon, Mr. Hall of Famer. Can you recall on the professional football field, even as a tight end, anytime somebody could walk up to you and say, you were targeted 3 times, you had 1 catch for 10 yards, and you wasn't open. You weren't open enough. Can you recall that ever happening to you in your career? Ever?
No.
Ever?
No.
Now, damn it, I ain't played football.
Because
Never wanted to. And I know better than that, D.O.
Stephen A. Even if that's the case, the defense is going to make a mistake once or twice. They're not going to play perfect coverage every single time, and I'm going to be able to feel somebody's going to fall down, somebody's going to get picked off, somebody's going to blow an assignment. You mean to tell me for 2.5 quarters, the defense was perfect. Nobody got rubbed, nobody slipped down, nobody did none of that?
That's right.
Guys, in my opinion, This is also one of the main focus and talking points of this game, that Green Bay offensively and Jordan Love offensively wasted an outstanding defensive performance by Green Bay. And to your point with A.J. Brown, if I walked up to A.J. Brown and said that, I would want A.J. to say back to me, then find ways to get me open a little bit more, because they rolled coverage to him. They doubled him. They matched him. And part of it was because they did an outstanding job shutting down the run a little bit, Green Bay defensively. Their backers were all over the place.
Yeah.
And so this is all connected. I'm not making this stuff up. This is in my opinion. I do not think that Jalen Hurts was sitting there missing open guys. If he did, I would be the first person to say it.
Listen. I know you're a busy man, because we damn sure know you wouldn't pay money, not even for a coach.
Xin chào tất cả các bạn. Video ngày hôm nay của mình sẽ làm là video tô màu. Đây là những sản phẩm của mình chuẩn bị tô màu cho các bạn xem này, rất chi là nhiều này. Đây. Những sản phẩm con vật, đồ vật các kiểu. Đấy. Ở đây nhá, rất nhiều. Và những sản phẩm của mình tạo ra đều có màu sắc nhờ chiếc nhà hộp sắc màu này, rất chi là tuyệt vời nha. Và bây giờ các bạn cùng theo dõi mình tô nha.
Bây giờ mình sẽ tiếp tục tô màu nha các bạn. Là vì em chẳng phải chi đâu. Người em hãy mạnh mẽ trong cối là vì em, người cho em suy nghĩ vậy sống tốt, là vì em đang được trân trọng. Tại vì bé xin lỗi, anh muốn tự mình thay đổi. Em mà lo lắng về anh như anh đã từng cố gắng muốn đắm mà khôngได้. Hứa với mình rằng trong được một ngả, em muốn nhìn thấy em cười như đai cánh xa. Tôi để nơi đây người sẽ trở về, xin em anh đừng buồn, hãy mạnh mẽ mình. Khu tồn là anh vẫn là người để mình ra những chiếc nghĩa. Rằng em không được buồn ngã, anh muốn nhìn thấy Xin em anh đừng buồn, anh bé về trong cô đơn, ngày mai sẽ vẫn là một về tụi một sau mà đi đâu.
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn. Video ngày hôm nay của mình sẽ làm là video tô màu. Đây là những sản phẩm của mình chuẩn bị tô màu cho các bạn xem này. Rất chi là nhiều này. Đây. Những sản phẩm con vật, đồ vật, các kiểu. Đấy. Ở đây nhá, rất nhiều. Và những sản phẩm của mình tạo ra đều có màu sắc nhờ chiếc nhà hộp sắc màu này, rất chi là tuyệt vời nha. Và bây giờ các bạn cùng theo dõi mình tô nha.
진짜 또 뭐냐? Tunggu sama nih.